In this video, we will look at how to do the initial basic configuration of Cisco Viptela SD-WAN. So I have a lab in EVNG. It's a very basic lab, and we will only configure the control plane and see how it works. So I have vManage, VSmart, Vbond, and a couple of vEdge devices. I have out-of-band management, VPN. So VPN 512 is dedicated for out-of-band management, and we will use that to access the vManage GUI. And VPN 0 is for transport VPN, and this is the VPN used for the control plane. Okay, so I have already powered on the devices. There is no initial configuration. I have all the configuration in a text file, so to avoid any typos and to save time, I will go ahead and just copy paste this configuration. I will put the configuration in the video description. If it's too long, then I'll put a link to a text file. Okay, so if I open my terminal, this is my LAN router. So maybe the connection's timed out. I'll open that again. So I have LAN, and then I have WAN. Okay, so let's go ahead and configure the LAN router first. It's a very basic config with interface IP addressing and just a DHCP pool to give an IP address to my Ubuntu machine. The reason I'm using a Ubuntu machine inside EVNG, the environment where I'm running this EVNG, I cannot connect it to my local machine and bring up the GUI for vManage. So I've added a Linux host inside my lab, and I will RDP to it to connect. Okay, so let's start that. Okay, now I will go to vManage. Smart is vManage. Okay, I will be using version 16 because from version 17 onwards, you need a signed binary from Cisco for the vEdge devices, and it's not possible to use a text file to give the chassis and serial number and import to add the vEdge devices. So that's why I'll use version 16. If you have a smart account with Cisco, you can use version 17, 18, or 19. Okay, so the default username and login is admin. When we log in, we need to select the hard drive for where we want the image to install. I have followed EVNG's documentation to initially add these devices, and in the documentation there is an important step to create this 100 gig hard drive. So select 1, yes, and then yes again. So this will take a little bit of time to format the hard drive and bring up the system. While it's doing that, I'll just go over the config. So VPN 0 is for transport VPN, and VPN 512 is for management, for out-of-band management. On vManage, so we are just configuring basic IP addressing and a default route, and then give it a system IP, site ID, organization name, and Vbond IP address, and give the configuration for VPN 0. Similar config will be on Vbond. So we'll give it a host name. So Vbond image, when you load, it will give the host name as vEdge. So we'll just change that to Vbond. And then similar config for VPN 512 and VPN 0. Again, similar config for VSmart and for VH devices. After we have done this, we need to create the certificates. So we'll create certificate for vManage, then we'll go to Vbond and VSmart and then VHs. Okay, so it can take some time. So system is initializing. Please wait to log in. So while it's loading, what I'll do is I'll just go to Vbond and configure that. So this is my VSmart. This will be my Vbond. So if you see this error, it's just a conflict of interface. We want gig 0 in VPN 0, and it's saying that gig 00 is in VPN 512 already assigned. So if we go to VPN 512 and say no interface gig 00 and then commit and quit. So that's our Vbond done. Let's see if we can log in. Okay, so we have vManage prompt. Let's go to vManage config, copy and paste. Okay, so we want Ethernet 0 in VPN 512, and there's a conflict in VPN 0. So we are already in VPN 0, so I can just say no interface Ethernet 0, commit and quit. Next, copy the config for VSmart, admin, paste. So now I'll go to VH1, admin, and then let's just ping. VH1, 1, 2. So I think I've configured the wrong VH. So so this should be VH2. Okay, and VH1 is just because when you open the console connection and the devices have initial prompt have the same name. Typing out. Okay, so that's okay. So next we need to start creating the certificates. And before we do that, I will go to my so the IP address we configured for vmanage was 192.168.1.1. Advanced and accept the risk. So the initial admin. Okay, so we don't have any VSmart, Vbond, or VH devices added. So first I need to go to settings, and just configure Vbond. And the Vbond IP address is going to be 10.1.2. Save. And the certificate authorization I want manual. Okay, so now I have this configured. We need to go and create the certificates. So I'll go to vmanage first. So first we need to, I have the steps outlined at the top under each heading. So first one is for vmanage, and then vbond and vsmart and vhs. So for vmanage, first we need to create a root key, then create a PEM file from the key and install the PEM, and then create a CSR, generate a CSR, and then we'll create a CRT from the CSR and then install. So it's a little bit of lengthy process. I'll go to shell. That will take me to the Linux shell in vmanage. And then once the key is created, we use OpenSSL. And if I do ls, I can see that the key and PEM file is generated. So exit from there, and then install the PEM file. So once that's done, we need to go to vmanage GUI, configuration, certificates, controller, vmanage, and then we need to generate the CSR for vmanage. So we go to certificates, controllers, and we have vmanage here. Click on these three bars and then generate CSR. So once it's generated this CSR, if we go to our prompt and then do ls, so we shell again and then do ls, we can see that vmanage CSR is created here. Go back to our notepad and we need to create the CRT file with this CSR. So copy this and paste. Now if I do ls, I can see I have this CRT file. So I need to view the contents, so cat this file, copy this cert, go back to GUI, and then install cert, and install. Okay, so this is done. Next, we need to do for Vbond similar steps. So we'll install the key from Vbond. So first we will install the key from vmanage. So this will SCP the key. Missed the R. And Control A doesn't work, and the terminal is a little bit funny. Okay, so this is installed the PEM file. Now we will go and add Vbond. So if we go to Configuration, Devices, Controllers, add a controller, Vbond 10.1.1.2, admin and admin, add. So we'll click on, we'll leave the generate CSR at the bottom checked. This will automatically create a CSR. So Vbond is added, but there is no certificate installed. But if we go to Vbond shell and do ls, so there is a CSR created. We need to SCP this CSR to vmanage and then create the CRT file from this CSR. So I'll go to vmanage. So if I do ls and then SCPA, and then do ls. So we've got the Vbond CSR. Next, we'll create the CRT file. And then cat and Vbond CRT. Copy these contents. And then we need to go to Configuration, Certificates, Controllers, Install, paste the cert in here and install. Okay, next we need to do, so once we've installed the cert, we need to go to Configuration, Certs, Controllers, and send to Vbond. So Configuration, Certs, Controllers, send to Vbond. And then we'll configure VSmart. So again, similar steps, we'll copy the PEM file first. So on VSmart, so admin. Once we have copied the PEM file, we will go and add Vbond into devices, controllers, add controller VSmart 10.1.1.3, admin, generate CSR checked, add. And now if we go to vshell ls, we've got the VSmart CSR generated. Again, we will SCP this to vmanage. Okay, so we've got the VSmart CSR. Next, create the CRT file from the CSR. And then cat, copy the contents, certificates, controllers, install, paste the cert and install. Okay. Then devices, controllers. Okay, now it's showing up as installed. Okay, so next we need to configure vEdge devices. So for vEdge, we cannot SCP the PEM file, so we need to create a text file with VI editor and then paste the contents from vmanage. So let's go to vEdge 1, go to vshell, VI, and then I for insert, go to vmanage, and then cat SDWAN the PEM file. And then paste. So this is vEdge 2. So escape to get out of the editor, and then colon WQ to quit. Okay, next we need to install this file. So exit, install it. Okay, now we need to generate the CSR on the vEdge. So I'll name it vEdge01 CSR. Need to give it an organization name. And go to vshell and then cat CSR. Need to copy this CSR and create a CSR file on vmanage. I'll say vEdge01 CSR. I to enter the editor and then paste. Escape, colon Q. So I've got the vEdge01 CSR. Now I'll do the same thing for vEdge2. And then create another file on vmanage and call it vEdge2 CSR. So we have the two CSR files. We'll create a CRT file and then install them. Okay, so first I'll create, let's say, vEdge1 is the in file and out file is vEdge1 CRT. Copy this. So we've got our vEdge1 CRT. Now I'll do vEdge2, vEdge2. Okay, so we've got the CRT file for VH2. Next, we need to go to our VH and create the file with CRT. So we'll do on vmanage, we'll do cat on VH1 CRT, copy these contents and paste them on VH1. And then on VH2, we need to create a VH2 CRT. Again, copy the contents from vmanage. And then we will install this CRT file. So exit the shell and install. Okay, VH1 failed. I wonder why. I must have made a mistake in copying the certs or something. Okay, so I'm not going to troubleshoot VH1. I'm pretty sure if I wipe it and then generate the certificates again, it will work okay. It will add. If I run the show cert serial command, it's not giving me a serial number for the cert which I need. But I have it from VH2, so let's just add VH2 for now. So when you've installed the certificate, we need to run show cert serial, copy this, go to our Linux, and then open a text editor. So this is a file I was referring to. After version 16, you need this binary from Cisco. You need to have a smart account, and you need to have this file from Cisco. If you create a file yourself, like this one, it doesn't work for version 16 onwards. So I can call it anything vhlist.txt. I'll save it on the desktop. Close this file. And now if I go to devices, right, so I've done this, I've created a file in this format. Then I need to go to vmanage devices, vhlist, and upload. So vhlist, upload, browse, give it that file. So this step fails when you using version 17, 18, or 19. And then OK. Here we've got our VH added. Next we need to go to configuration, certificate VH, and then send to controller. So configuration, certificates, send to controllers. And then configuration, certificates, VH, and then valid. Okay, so that's completed successfully. Then go to certificates, VH list, and here it's showing as invalid. So we click on valid and OK. So device successfully validated. Okay, so the final task is we need to configure the tunnel interface on vManage and VSmart. So I'll just copy this, go to vManage, exit the shell, conf t, commit and quit. Go to VSmart, commit and quit. And on Vbond, we need to configure encapsulation IPsec on the tunnel. So exit, conf t, commit and quit. And then finally, we should be able to see the control connections with show control connections. Let's see if I go to vManage, show control connections. Okay, I can see VSmart, Vbond. I don't see vEdge, so we should be able to see vEdge here as well. Okay, so this one is not showing any control connection. Let's see if it can ping 10.1.1.1. Yeah, so that's vManage, Vbond, and VSmart. Okay, let's just click on send to controller again. I didn't click it after I clicked on valid, so I've clicked on valid and then send to controllers again. Let's see if that makes any difference. Let's go to the dashboard. Okay, so on the dashboard I can see there is one vEdge. So vEdge2 is showing up with site ID 2. And we can see the control connections are up for all the Viptela devices. Let's go to terminal again. Okay, now we can see our vEdge in there. So maybe it was just an extra step where after validating the cert, click on send to controllers again. So I just wiped vEdge1, and so all I did was I went into evng and then wiped that node. It goes off, powered it back on, connected it on the terminal, followed exactly the same steps what I have in here to generate the cert, and it worked fine this time. So let's see if I can add this. So if I copy this and go to our text file, save. Okay, so now vEdge1 seems to be added as well. So let's just do the certs. So I need to go to cert and then valid and send to controllers. So vmanage, Vbond, and VSmart. So all looks good. Let's go to the dashboard. Now we can see we have two VH devices. And if I go to vmanage and then do show control connections, so we can see our two VH devices. So this and the second one. Okay, cheers. Thanks for watching.